Morning folks, today we're looking at resource management and we're going to focus on water. So water as a resource, we're looking specifically at the UK. Here are the things that we need to focus on today. So firstly, how the demand for water is changing. We all have a demand for water, we need it, and over the years it has been changing how much we need and what we need it for. So we're going to look at that. Secondly, where in the UK has got a large supply of water? In other words, where gets the most rainfall because they've got plenty of water? Thirdly, where has a large demand for water? Now usually a large demand would be where we have our biggest areas of population. Fourthly, where are the areas of deficit? That means there is not enough water. And where are the areas of surplus? That means there is plenty. And finally, how we can save water to maintain our supplies. So how we can become a little bit more conscious with the amount of water we use, how we can design things in a better way so that they use less water. Those are the things that we're focusing on today. Just as a little starting did you know fact, water is used throughout the day for drinking and showering, producing food, products and energy. A lot of this water may not be seen, but it makes up the majority of a country's water footprint. Now, I'd like to start off with you thinking about your water footprint. Just spend a couple of minutes on this, don't spend ages. I'd like you to complete the table to work out how many litres you use per week. So, for example, if you have a bath once a week, you'll put a number 1 in the box that says average weekly use. It's telling you that that will use 80 litres, so in the final column you would write 80 and go down the list. If you don't have baths because you have showers, then put a 0 in that first box, and then when it gets to the one that says power shower, you can write down how many showers you have. So a little bit of maths for you, a little bit of calculating, see if you can work out how much water you use per week. Pause this slide and then continue when you've completed the table. Okay, I thought I'd show you my weekly use. So as you can see there, I don't actually have baths, so I tend to have showers and I'll generally have one every day. So as you can see, the numbers there, pretty bad maybe actually, because I'm using 1,445 litres per week. If we work that out per day, that's a couple of hundred litres of water per day. Now, when you think about a massive bottle of Coke that you can buy from the supermarkets, you know, the ones that come in plastic, they're 2 litres, just to give you an idea. So I'm using 1,445 litres per week. It's a hell of a lot of water for one person. And you're probably something similar. Maybe you're more. Let's have a look at average consumptions. The global average water footprint is 1,240. So I guess I'm slightly over average, which isn't good. This is interesting though. The second bullet point there, the USA, so that's a rich country, a high income country, they use 2,483 litres on average every day. It's a hell of a lot of water. Bangladesh, a poor country, more like 896 litres. So what we can see from this slide is that consumption is uneven. Around the world, richer countries tend to use more water than poorer countries. So just to shock you a little bit, this is how much water is actually needed to make these items, because when we think about our water footprint, we often seem to just think about the water that we drink, the water that we cook with, the water that we shower with, dishwasher, washing machine, and then we think that we don't use any more. But actually, everything you consume in life has needed water in order to make it. So a sheet of paper, you think about that exercise book in front of you and how many sheets are in that. To make one sheet of paper, it requires 10 litres of water. A pair of jeans, 10,855 litres of water. Kilogram of pork, 10 litres. Even a glass of wine, 120 litres of water is required to make that. Slice of bread, 40. Kilogram of wheat, 1,300 litres. So any cereals, breads that you're eating, that's how much water it takes. Even an apple requires 70 litres of water. The tree will have taken that up. in order to produce the apples. A pound of plastic, 91 litres. So all these products, and that's just a few, require thousands of litres. So actually when you think about your water footprint, you can't just think about the water that you see, it's the water that you don't see as well. So if we take all of that into consideration, look at the purple, the writing in purple at the side there, you would actually consume about 3,400 litres per day. That's an incredible amount of water. So it's a very important resource. We need it. We need to make sure that we've got plenty of it. So we need to learn how to manage it well and save as much as we can. Okay, little task for you. This pie chart shows you domestic water use. Domestic means within your home. It's been split into the different segments, and down the right hand side you've got clothes washing, so that's washing machines, leaks, that's leaky taps, leaky pipes, kitchen sink and dishwasher, showering, bathing, toilet flushing, and anything else. So that might include watering the garden or washing the car, something like that. I would like you to see whether you can work out which one, or have a guess. This is what this is, it's a guessing game. Have a guessing game, which colour segment goes with those bullet points. Spend a couple of minutes and then look at the next slide for the answers. So you'll need to pause this slide at this point right now. And there are the answers. So top left diagram, as you can see, toilet flushing. 30% of the water that you use in the home is on flushing the toilet. Incredible. That's the biggest majority. Bathing comes in second at 20%. Interestingly, washing clothes in washing machines, that comes next, 14%. Then showering. Washing up and the dishwasher, a lot less, only 7%. Leaks, which you can't always see because often they're under the house, they're the leaking pipes that are outside and underneath your home that you don't often see, 5%. And other uses will be things like watering the garden, washing the car, so that's 12%. And I can tell you now, because I know this fact, the amount of water that you drink is about 4%. So a very small amount in consideration to all those other activities. Look at the bottom pie chart. Now the brown segment is the domestic use. So all the things that we've just been talking about in that above pie chart fit into that segment. That's 21%, just over, of the water in the UK is used in our homes. But look at the blue segment, 75%, that's 3/4 of the UK's water is used making products and delivering services, the things that we talked about before. So making paper, making wine, making anything, I don't know, plates that you eat your dinner off. 75% of the water in the UK is used for that, and we just don't see that at all, do we? It's all happening out of sight. So how is the demand for water changing? That's what we want to look at next. So now we know what we're using it for, how is it changing? Look at the top right graph. Now I know it's small because that doesn't matter. Really, all I want you to get from that is that that is a graph showing the population growth in the UK over time. And what you should get from that is that it's rising. And obviously that's a change. So our demand for water is going to increase as our population is increasing and the number of houses that we are building is increasing. Look at the picture of all those houses being built. We've got a lot of this happening all over Nottingham at the moment and Nottinghamshire because the population's rising. There's a demand for housing and all of those homes will have water pipes going to them. So our demand will rise. You've got the picture of the greenhouse. Not the greenhouse, it's the picture of the golf course. Golf courses. That image there is representing the amount of water that we are using in our leisure activities. So for instance, so many people nowadays are members of a gym where they will go to the gym, they'll use the equipment, they'll shower afterwards. There's probably a pool in there as well, so they'll go for a pool or a sauna or a steam room. All of these things use loads of water. Golf courses, they've popped up all over the UK and they need watering throughout the summer every day, requiring tons of water. So in terms of leisure, That's a change, because in the past we didn't have gyms. There were one or two, there weren't many. It wasn't a way of life. Nowadays, it's going to the gym, playing golf, and doing all these different leisure activities that require water. Nowadays, that's come into our daily activities. But we really didn't used to spend so much leisure time doing things like that in the past. So that's showing that. The picture underneath with the man with the jet wash, that's showing you the changes to the way that we live our lives around the home. We spend money buying domestic appliances, just like that jet washer. We've bought washing machines, we've bought dishwashers, things that require water, basically. Whereas a long time ago, people would have hand washed clothes. They wouldn't have jet washed a car or jet washed the driveway down. They would have had a bucket of water and done it by hand, and they wouldn't have jet washed the drive. It just would have got dirty, and they would have scrubbed it with a scrubbing brush or something. Times have changed, and these things use a lot of water. Okay, so that's showing that change there. In fact, while we're on the point, baths. I know this is going to sound gross to you, but wasn't that long ago that you'd have a bath once a week. It was unheard of to have a shower. You would have a bath once a week, and this is going to gross you out. You'd get out, and one of your sister or your brother would get in. The whole family would share the same water. That's how it used to be in the past. Nowadays, you all have your own individual showers, don't you? You use far more water. Bottom right, that's a picture of a greenhouse in the UK. They use loads of water, and the change there is that we're now demanding foodstuffs out of season. So if you want to be eating strawberries over the winter months, then we've got to grow them somehow. We grow them in greenhouses over the winter, and we water them. So the fact that we have a demand for out of season food means that we also increase the demand for our water use. So that's how things are changing in the UK. This slide here basically puts that into words for you. So the first thing there, the causes of our changing water demand is 1, population growth, more houses being built, more water supply. 2, increase in the use of water-intensive domestic appliances like dishwashers, washing machines, jet hoses, and so on. 3, the demand for out-of-season food, which requires extra watering in the greenhouses. 4, increased industrial use. The making of all the products that we require and we demand requires water. 5, changes in personal hygiene, having a shower every day instead of once a week like in the past with shared water. And the last one on there, increased leisure use. So more golf courses, more gyms, all requiring lots of water. Now, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to do the task there on the slide. So draw 6 labelled cartoons to show the above changes causing the increased water demand. Pause this slide. When you've done that, move on to the next slide. I shouldn't spend more than 10 minutes doing that. Right, so let's look at where our water comes from. Our sources of water, 1, we can get it from rivers, we can get it from reservoirs, that's where we have a big lake full of water, and we can get it from underneath the ground in what we call groundwater aquifers, so we can almost pump it up from underneath the ground. Here's a little task for you. We need to look at where our rainfall lands, and as you can see from the map there, our rainfall is very uneven. I would like you to describe the distribution of the UK's rainfall. Now, I don't want to say too much, but I want you to think about using compass directions. If you know your countries for the UK, so we've got Scotland in the north, we've got Wales to the west, and we've got England, which takes up the rest of that diagram. I can't really show you without being able to point things out, but you could use place names. You could quote numbers from the key there. So I'd like you to describe the distribution of the UK's rain. Where is most rain falling? Where is the least rain falling? And then compare your answer with my answer on the next slide. You'll need to pause this now. Don't spend more than 2 minutes doing this task. Okay, there's my answer. Most rainfall is on the western side of the UK. I think you can agree with that. Especially the northwest in Scotland and the west of Wales, where more than 3,000 millimetres falls. Look at how I'm using numbers there and trying to use place names. The eastern side of England is much drier, especially the southeast around London, where 600 to 699 millimetres falls. This is a quarter of the amount falling on the west. And again, I've tried to manipulate the numbers there as well. So that's what I would call a really good answer. Dirt your answer, make your answer better. So we can assume that there's going to be a surplus of water in those places where they're getting a lot, can't we? However, it's not quite as simple as that, because we need to look at where people live as well. So this map here shows population density, and as you can see, again, it's uneven. Population density is the number of people living in a particular place. So the darker the orangey colour, the more people live there. I would like you to do the same task again. Describe the distribution of the UK's population. Again, think about where most people live, where least people live. Use compass directions, quote numbers, and then compare your answer with mine. Pause this slide, don't spend more than a couple of minutes, and then move on. Okay, and there's my answer. There are denser populations in England than in Scotland and Wales. I think we can agree with that. There is a population of 2,500 to 4,999 kilometres squared in the southeast around London and the south coast of Wales and the northwest of England. So I'm just trying to pick out a few places. Population density is lower as you move north to Scotland, where it is 0 to 24 per kilometres squared. Now again, pause this slide, read my answer, and make sure you can make sense of that using the map. So let's make an assumption. We can assume a water deficit, that's where there isn't enough, in the most populated places, especially if there isn't enough rain in those places. So we need to compare the two maps. Here are the two maps side by side. Look at my blue arrows that I put on. So we've got plenty of rainfall. That arrow is pointing at Wales. And the other arrow, a low population density, again pointing at Wales. So they've got loads of rain, not very many people. There is going to be a water surplus. Now let's look at the two blue arrows underneath. We've got an area with low amount of rainfall. So I'm pointing to London there. And my other arrow, a large population, again pointing to London. So if we've got not much rain, but we've got a huge population, we can expect a deficit of water. That is not enough. Task for you, please. I'd like you to copy down the following definitions of water surplus and water deficit and give a named example from the map. A big clue is the examples that I've just talked to you about. There's a final definition on there, which is water stress. Water stress occurs in areas of water deficit where the population density is high. So we can assume that London on that map, not only does it have a water deficit, so that means there's not enough water, there's a shortage, but they're going to be experiencing water stress. Okay, pause this slide, do that task. Should take you 3 minutes, then move on, please. Okay, you should be good at this now. A few minutes just describing the distribution of areas with water stress in the UK. Nice easy one for you. 2 minutes, off you go, and then move on. Okay, your answer probably looks something like this. There is serious water stress in the southeast. See how I've used the words from the actual key there, the word serious. It becomes moderate as you move north to the Midlands and also the southwest. And it is low in the north of England. A little title in your book, How Can We Manage Supplies? And your task, I'd like you to search online, so go onto Google, type in How Can We Save Water, and create a poster of about 10 ways that we can reduce the amount of water that we use in and around the home. So it's like an awareness poster. Don't spend more than 5 or 10 minutes on that task. Finally, I'd like you to now add to your poster these things, because these are things that you may have left off. And these 4 ways have the biggest impact on reducing water use. Number 1, installing domestic water meters in your home. Currently, if you were to ask your parents, they might well pay a one-off payment for the whole year. It'd be quite a lot of money. It might be something like £600, I'm not sure. 600 quid for water to your home for the whole year. That's just a water supply. It's not the energy to heat water. It's just your water supply. However, if you get a domestic water meter in the home, it's like a pay-as-you-go. So you're only charged for the amount of water that you use instead of that one-off payment. This encourages people to use less, because if you can see the cost going up, then you start using less. So I have a water meter in my home because I'm the only person that lives here. So the chances are I'm not going to use £600 worth of water. So I've got a water meter and I'm very careful about how much water I use. And I can literally see the numbers going up each day. So it encourages me to not use as much. That's a big way that we can save water. Secondly, we can actually use the water from our homes that goes down our kitchen sinks and down our bathtubs. We can reuse that water to irrigate crops, and it can be recycled around in your home to actually flush the toilet. So instead of it going back to the treatment works and going through all those expensive processes, we can actually just reuse it. If we're not drinking it, it doesn't matter, does it? So we can just reuse it. Thirdly, we can buy more efficient appliances. So all the time, dishwashers, the latest dishwashers will be more efficient than the old dishwashers. Same with showers. The newer showers that are being invented now use far less water than the older showers. So we can become better with our design of our appliances. And finally, we can fix leaky pipes. Leaky pipes account for 21% of wasted water in the UK. So we can fix those, which save a load of water. Okay, so today that's the end of our lesson. You should have accomplished these top 5 bullet points, please. So you should be able to say how the demand for water is changing, so how it's increasing and why. You should be able to say where in the UK has got loads of rain. You should be able to say where in the UK has got high population density, so they've got a big demand. You should be able to name areas of deficit and areas of surplus. And you should be able to give us some ways in which we can save water to maintain our supplies. If you can do that, you've learnt this lesson and you've not missed out. Next lesson, we're going to look at how we can transfer water around so that we can even it out a bit. And we're going to look at water quality and pollution of water. Cheerio, hope you've enjoyed the lesson.